What if your backyard could eliminate some of your biggest grocery expenses permanently? Not by growing decorative herbs in pots, but by planting crops that regenerate and multiply every year. Most grocery spending isn't random, it's recurring. Garlic, greens, onions, herbs, berries, and potatoes. You buy them constantly without thinking. And repetition is where money quietly disappears. The right crops don't just grow food, they eliminate recurring purchases. Let's start with one of the easiest expenses to replace. Green onions are bought weekly in most households. Plant them once, and they regrow after every cut. Leave a few in the ground and they multiply naturally. That small patch can permanently erase that purchase. Garlic is another constant expense. One planted bulb becomes multiple bulbs at harvest. Replant the largest cloves and your supply expands every season. Within a few years, garlic becomes self-sustaining. Asparagus requires patience in the beginning, but once established, it produces every spring for up to 20 years. 2 decades of harvest from a single planting is serious leverage. Rhubarb follows a similar pattern. Plant it once, and it returns every spring with heavy yield, minimal care, and reliable production. Make it a long-term asset. Egyptian walking onions practically manage themselves. They produce bulb clusters that replant automatically. Your onion supply increases without extra effort. Jerusalem artichokes are aggressive, high-calorie producers. Plant them once, and they return year after year. Few crops generate that much food with that little maintenance. Mint is nearly impossible to eliminate once planted, which means you will never need to buy it again. Chives regrow continuously after cutting. Over time, they multiply into dense, productive clumps. Perennial kale varieties survive winter in many climates. That means greens without replanting each season. Sorrel emerges early in spring before most crops wake up. It returns every year with almost no input. Horseradish regenerates aggressively after harvest. Plant it once, and you have roots on demand. Raspberries are expensive in stores, but perennial in the ground. Once established, they produce heavily every season. Blackberries offer similar long-term fruit production. They spread gradually and increase yield over time. Blueberry shrubs can produce for decades when cared for properly. One planting becomes years of harvest. Grapevines mature into heavy annual producers. With pruning, they can supply fruit for decades. Potatoes can be replanted from your own harvest. Saving seed potatoes compounds your supply every season. Sweet potatoes can be propagated from slips grown at home. One harvest becomes next year's planting stock. Lovage functions as a perennial celery substitute. It returns yearly without replanting. Artichokes are high-value crops in grocery stores. In mild climates, they produce for multiple seasons. Fig trees can produce fruit for decades once mature. A single tree can replace years of store purchases. This isn't about avoiding grocery stores entirely. It's about eliminating recurring categories of spending through compounding production. Plant once, let roots expand, and watch your grocery bill structurally shrink.